or was of Penia, da ewo, Melchizedek, Edieso. Afi ye head after the bar, one dear, what in the moja, and Papon animachi moja, any in your moja intimi bonino, or no, edit one moja and a patama ye. One no one to say liga software, or no patama will be or buffer ye Emma or no when a bonny answer and our bubiamo man. Ready use the Wanya bonny and wabo for the ama on answer and our for the amaye. Or in the muja and kaya ni dembia any mono and a body the core aseniana so and I said woo aseniana so at the G and qua. Ain't Sanyama wino Emma already used to priesthood no a crown as in the Levitical priesthood no na eno ena additional edama ye saninti apam enji sheye no enti se emra no a ne ya twere egu abopros no we ndie na pam no wode ne sheye no ehye ye na akoma mu na afi wo yera adwene mu enti I think say on these terms no ena utimi ema ye hunu say the new covenant no is superior to the old no na awurade Yesu Kristo enti o establish enema bi ema ye hunu sa osofani ani Levites no ade no mu so ye amawo hunu sa awurade Yesu Kristo far superior na for it and he liveth forever and this Levite as of one no no wu a na ne ba Levi Aaron wu ye and ne ba Phinehas ebedi ade and ofoforo so ebedi ade in fact no bia na make was Joseph was Tracy his Jewish historian be Tracy said from Aaron to Brian well radius there were about 82 high priests. We were already Yesu Christo there. He ever lived to make intercession for us. Ain't it ultimately one would one to the uttermost. Ultimately could see as if he said he lives forever to make intercession. Ain't it when they said Levi that software or no woman ewa na foforo abisi hono one dia otiasida wonu eda and all these things he na enye se oservo entamadan a ewo fam a de partner ewo soro no na Moses hwe na wo ye Levites asofo no minister woman na we dey osoro in the heavenly sanctuary enye nipa na ye no minister. With all these comparisons, the contrast, Emma who said he in a priesthood, and a covenant was establishing a far superior than the first. Now, so near can say through first the annual a radinal so a minister no and none an ADD ABC or no Neduma Cassia. A baby in Shira, I mean, in by all means, the first had to come. I know, and a model, Kakra already see her answer, not the superior one, a radin Ankasa, radiation the Ankasa, a GN Unkano, or the ever. And I think says San Adiciano, a film or the Emayan, daily, a Hinian, a cancer. The need of a new covenant, new and renewed covenant, better ends, better promises, and all those things. Now, ATV, just to sum up, Accra, near canon within this short time. So, will be some good contribution here. I'll get to you. Abama, that's question goes.
Me question.
Okay, Prof.
Also, Luciano compare the old and then the new covenant, and the traditional understanding is Yesu ewu no abeyi the old one no afrio.
Yeah.
Are there any aspects of the old Noah, old covenant Noah, that are still valid? In other words, still say use will be wood here, but those aspects of the old covenant, are still valid. Are there any such aspects of the old covenant? And as a use by no be willing to know everything about the former covenant, is gone, forever gone.
So old covenant, says any my old covenant, no to prepare new one. And yes, it's done away with. Say a more foria, Muja, Papa, a yes, Mujano, Esiana, ain't he? A older one, and Afi attend into a newer one in this sense. Ha, ain't he bibia, ne a yo or hotter than one. The Entamadaya no Musum, a chum, ain't he bibia, ne a year old a year. And no nama Levitical priesthood in original so in terms of affordability biano. Obviously, the new one ain't as the almost another Jew for they kept on more affordable near the day any a partial hold one they kept on and on. But Christianity, right from onset, now apostles no establishes already used to move and any man I fulfilled and until those things no longer function. And in terms of Saudi money, the old has been taken up by the new. But and she say Yahoo when you mean Eddie Maun, Panamras on say or comfort I think Saudi and come baby. So would you for Jeremiah and then Ezekiel so or so by train and run away. And whereas ya ne actually ne eda for eda pamada kan mu ana na actually go above so na remind on man sabre onam no so actually enyamra foforo bi but emra no so that through his spirit here afi adwuma we no it's so fresh in us daily ehia say yakohwe abo so ansa na yehu and sanity. And yeah, meaning answer question.
And you bet me a casse. Sorry, the basic, the framework, and the underlying philosophy and objectives of the plan. I mean, the plan system. It seems to me say is the same thing. Say the idea no say nyame epeso jini pankwa. Nansana the actual implementation or yesu ebebano. And I would kind the sanctuary service, MIA. It is the idea behind it and the foundation of it all. No, I think it will always be there.
Yeah.
But neni pano anomo and yejuma no more yeno. And I used to no abi and no but the foundation, the philosophy behind it, the objectives in there, I think is right. That's how I see it. So it's the same thing.
Sanity. So on Old Testament, typical and yet I do you are running border will say Ajum Kaneba. When you mean Guaman Caseba, the all or dim Paje, Sieno, or might be beard mono, but any Old Testament, I did any true symbols and prophecies, any types near the Ninano, sure already is or Oberban. Ain't or by then he establishes in the BBI into foundation, and old and provide and the real one. And when the real one comes, you don't go for the shadow again. Even though it was the basis on which the new one was coming. And for the Jewish kingdom to stay and say, go back to more affordable and all that we know, because they didn't believe in the Messiah, then they were doing the wrong thing. And he knew in a sense, it take over. And there's types and anti-type. Types, or they say, before Obabano, see, Niashin Pepe, or Bayano, or be fulfilled be Biara, not older at the MIBR. And the son it is will be back practice the old one. No, the study I had it for Yamedi, I think any Mediana she share Yonkophone, it for no will be about there. So I come with you, Yonkofu, Jamrani, Adibiano, it won't mean corners abri. Senior and in the next year, Sabrina, yeah, the Morphoria. Yes, it was on that basis, and the other way, but once our baby, and more affordable beer and here.
Yeah, so for me, so me dream say addition be wa. When say old covenant, say enke wo ho no mo a, enna nka yemu bi say wo ye bone a ye ma wakoto dwan a. Enke bi anke be limit yan so suban bi a ye we have taken things for granted. Sometimes no ya na dream ho say. It's say bibie ni ho no mo a we have to say e be go against ye nti nipa bi ye ne ye pesa.
And element, it's a you for an element, more affordable ram woman, ya body. And in India, and guys can be a better one. And because the apostasy, any idolatry, they had all these things. And it's an yes, Yenya Radius, nothing, but and you'll be asking a be a the assume so. And I think the superiority of Christ priesthood. Anyway, they say the for 1 minute to cry, Emma and yeah, brain home. Befa bring on Nafi, the south away up now. My mommy had him out of any straight away, Nafi, on the enemy Nafi. Yeah, by the way, Doctor, I am more cover. Dr. Benjamin Pukubiako. And Kwame, over to you.
Yo, Abusiafo, yama yenyina yehu happy Sabbath, yama yehu Yonkodo. Yebeda Unyankopon ase ewo ne Bible ene ne hwe so pa the whole week. Waboye ho ban ahwe yen so ama yetimi abanenim. Se ensemo a ede nkranhye ebre ne ma no onfa na ko aso na nyimbre nso onhyira ye. Weekend a family weekend. Enunti enyina ye nhye ye ho den na emboa yen de beti efree doctor ho anyimre. Enim se sisi no be bree anyimre ana weekend or the bema yen. Ne yenyina saka pamphlets ni bi program no. Senior wadi kan achiri mu no or say marriage in beta version. Na Dr. Obidi Nimu Edi Jumedieno Amayeno, Pastor Abonidin, Dr. Benjamin Opoku Bediakon. Doc Yamawakwaba. Toronto, Ghana, Asafo, Emma. Yen ye share our lives, so intino. Ye better jomo bako. Na ya bompaye. Bompaye we are. Enya ye better no. Dr. Benjamin Opoku Ediako. Nafe, Yina Yedi Empire as support. Why impact nipa bebre na matie no nsem bebre na o tena sidin na wutie enema nyame nam no so de mamamfo a ude ebebre no ebo ontoma no a bigidi se yenyina ebebo ayen nti momma ye ma ye ho kwan nimbre na nyame mfa no so nkasa nkyerɛ enyemo ama power me pese ye to no 545 Ose jenkwa kan yen se dwanhwefo ye hia wonhwe so pa no fa yenko wadidi bia ho na siesie aduane ma yen shirafu yesu wato yen ye wodia shirafu yesu wato yen ye wodia ye to adwum no ofan edikan wi a mesre Dr. Ransford also na watu dwumadie nyina ahye nyame nsa na odi dɔko nso ahye nyame nsa edi amaye obompa ni wi a na ya hand over amadok na fe nyame asiesie ma no odi amaye enunti enyum no say Savior, like a shepherd lead us much, we need thy tenderest care. In thy pleasant pastures feed us, for our use thy food prepare. Blessed Jesus, thou hast bought us thine we are. Blessed Jesus, thou hast bought us thine we are. The last stanza no. Thou hast promised to receive us, poor and sinful though we be. Thou hast mercy to relieve us, grace to cleanse and power to free. Blessed Jesus, we will early turn to thee. Blessed Jesus, we will early turn to thee. Doc, bacha bompire my nafi.
Japa was real the was it. So would the Yankwa affirm Mama the Ponday the community between if you are boy or no. So be treachery. So the being holding to me if you honor fee. The boy brand and Juman Swadia she and Salon to me a year. The CC won't show my and China Bano be point free. The Bebre 7 year home. You are ye the was it to come full. And you may qua on a more dum so a power no man. It's Joseph Casafani Trey. And you be Tibiano. It's you akuma pam. And even more importantly, no. To me, at the Aboyebra, the Busunamu, the Ubia, a we bring me. Yes, what treating your Casa train, our Casa train, so boy means you are so needy. Yes, so holding a fee, it me your pedi. For Quasu Casa train, what do incident? Amen.
Amen. Doc, nyame shirawo. Doc, nti ye hand over the amount.
That's on great there. Me that's a pay yes. Mama me akwenya se eneso mensan emrana yemra meche edisua ewe. Made a pastor so I say or reach out to say or invited me say I should be back to Toronto. I said the last time I said one of these days and me say me and I say me tutu na mo na me free has say na me ba honum na yeah baba esum. Nah, I'm the least person to talk about this particular issue, but Pastor Mayungu said we have a lot of young people, we have a lot of will-be marriages, newlywed young couples and young families. And it is also nice that you're being a young person to talk about marriage and its intricacies. But I also believe, sir, even the older people on our platform, it was I'm sure some of them have been married for like 10, 15, 20, 30 years, 40 years on this platform, will bring their experience to bear. And we can all also learn one or two things. Be a bad boy. I think that with all the mistakes all of us have made in the past and all the things that we are just trying to be better by ourselves. And that is what, when we meet as Christians, we hope to do. So, and then, yeah, and I said, and then you discuss marriage in beta version. Obi who title no besides what are you talking about what do you mean by marriage in beta version? But me assure say at the end of a presentation, at least we get a full glimpse of what I'm trying to talk about. Now, say ye abrabo we are ye wom we are. Say you see change is the name of the game. Now you can't change it. And will be tired there or shot at the end and I say at the end or back to the shop. Now I return it. And then ultimately, unlike Ghana, and I say unlike in Ghana, now you cannot buy things and send them back. But here, we tomato idea, you take back, you exchange it. Even I didn't cry, I wash it where you use for some time. Hey, it breaks down, you say warranty period, then and so you take it back and then. So the question is, marriage, is it love for a lifetime? And unfortunately, this kind of attitude of we returning staff have crept into our marriage. To the point that even among Seventh-day Adventists, the question of divorce and some of these things, we have not escaped unscarred. Now say, Obi at me our 10 years, Obi our 15 years, Obi our 20 years, 30 years. The question we ask ourselves and then say, what is the secret? Why are some people able to marry for that long? Is there a particular like is there a particular recipe they are following that a lot of new ones that are just surviving for just 2 weeks anyways are following a year? What is it? Then as we go further, these things. But the honest truth in NSF, if a couple, and as any or say, or more air warren, so many that no more dear, no more dream, no more bompayo, anymore. The lifetime of happiness is within a grasp. And one of the things that if there's a young couple and what has and as will be a person worry now you our platform that one of the things I always say and then say the road to a contented and long-lasting marriage, it doesn't begin with say honeymoon, because a lot of times what we've seen is in our current era, a lot of young people spend a lot of time on just that day. What goes into the day? You have parents, mothers, fathers doing everything to make sure that day is special. It's a day to remember. People will go at length, and recently I'm a program from Dallas Fort Worth Church, and I'm like, it is amazing. I get amazed when I see a net for wedding budget, and I go like say, and then you move your worry. I'm saying people are having a budget as high as $90,000, $95,000, $100,000. And I'm like, what on earth? Is it going into the wedding? Now, when some of them start telling me what goes, the photo shoot, the pre-photo shoot, the videos, and all those things, and you see the amount of money that is going at the Ashebi, that whatever that goes on, and the kind of pictures that have to come up for us to be posted on the social media now. And then I ask myself, do we put the same effort into the survival of the marriage? Ain't it, if we are just talking about just one day now, is the marriage in it just meant for just a particular day? Or it is something that we plan for eternity? So the question is love within the marriage in it, is it for a lifetime? At the end of this discussion, we're going to find the answers to that. Ain't it? Marriage in beta version. Now, Pastor Fremi, I made just a little bit of research into this. I chanced on this. And it's a very intriguing read. Now, it is a little book by maybe a friend is Hannah Seligson, a tray or same. Marriage weighs heavy nowadays. I don't feel like trying it. And there's a young person I will interview now, some worker. What's the name? I worry na just say, this one. Now, I know on person now. In the book, no, near Mami can say, okay, it deals with long-standing relationship between young people and millennials, 18 to 34. But I realized that some of the things is even applicable to older generation in our current dispensation when we talk about marriage. Now, that study, you know, something intriguing came up. And I'll link it up to one of the things that I've read in Time magazine. Now, Time magazine publishing a very interesting article. Publish an article about marriage, and this is the findings of almost say almost half, and even a larger percentage among young ones will choose a marriage pattern that involves 2-year experiment. And among millennials, young people between the 18 and 34, and the terms in the marriage, what will you prefer? 43% of that population, I can say, just 2 years experiment. So 2 years into our no, after 2 years, then after 2 years, we decide whether say marriage in the or so for bro behona on finalizing marriage, and I say either of us will have to just walk away without any divorce or any papers. 43% agree on matrimony. Then 33% of that same group, I can say, almost a type of marriage after a period of either 5, 7, 10, or 30 years, you can renegotiate the terms of the marriage. In tonight, it's a contract. When they were Juma sign, okay, I'm signing the contract for 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, travel. Oh, yeah, this. Or 2 years. After the 2 years, you renegotiate the terms. Okay, they say, me pay this incentive bonus, me pay this added, this leeway, this bonus. 33% of the young people also wanted that. Say, after 5 years, I saw any community international renegotiated the terms. Okay, yes, I see, and not yes, about ya we anyway say ni akokora na say wo tena fi no aduane wo be ma no na me be ban me so me kokora aduane we you need renegotiate whatever terms be ya sha ase with. Moving forward, 21% what we call the presidential mandate kind of a marriage. So the presidential mandate they say yeah Ghana and I say here in the US in a year 4-year term almost per se our year 4 years, then we renew it for another 4 years. After 8 years, you are free to choose a partner. That is interesting. Then 53% says that marriage vows should be renewed, and only 31% still believe in marriage for a lifetime. It is for young people and current marriage trend. Now we take it this publication at Time Magazine, now we extend it, you extrapolate it into the population now, you realize that only 33%, 31%, if I say 70% of the population currently who are married or going into marriage or newlywed believe that marriage is for a lifetime. Only 30%. This is very scary. And the funny thing, and they say, Obi Bedouin said this is published in Time Magazine. But the funny thing is that within the culture you find yourself in North America, that is what is also creeping into the church. Young people, most marriages and other things have gotten to a point whereby 30% only believe that marriage is for a lifetime. Most of us think is that marriage, is something at any point we can renegotiate the terms, or at any point you can just walk away. That is the mindset a lot of us are going into a marriage with. Now, what is the implication of these statistics? What is it's our day we are making? What is the implications of it? Let's look at the implications of this. The implication, and I say, most millennials like me prefer a type of marriage where the choice of a partner does not have permanent effect. A lot of young people now, the implications of this state in nature say most young couples, young people, and all those people, and even let me say middle-aged people are marrying now, believe it said they should be able to choose a life partner any permanent consequence. Meaning say, so choose now whichever way or choose so they should be able to walk away. So whatever they choose should not have a permanent consequence or permanent effect. That is one of the implications. Two, they also instead want to have the possibility of making me reevaluate the relationship, like I mentioned, after a couple of years. So, Melissa, one other co-writer, says that this is a generation that is used to the idea that everything is in bidder, that life is work in progress. So the idea of a bidder marriage makes sense. The word bidder, so call Memphis a computer science, and that's a more technology. WhatsApp, they have the bidder version. So we use Android, we use iOS, Apple, iPhone, we say. Answer not be on the software be a banana, be a banana, or more initial version or more. Now, Crawford try. No more try. Send a pair errors be a woman, bugs be a woman, be an internet. So, you see, update your computer, update your phone, new software you need to update. Answer your debate said update for you to use. Now you're using Zoom, you see, and as a PowerPoint, you see, they had already tested it several times. Now, most time that process of testing and looking at the errors in it, any friend is a beta version. And mostly after the beta, and we come to the alpha, and I said the original. Now that is what is given out for people to consume. And now that idea, is what it is being transcended into our Christian relationship right now. That a lot of people think is our marriage environment is a try and error. That you can choose anyhow, that you can do anything. Then after you try it, if you feel that there are bugs in it, then you throw it away and go for another thing. Until like we discard anything. I started into now for the here. It says so be making sure so we'll choose every store, we'll choose the right. Now you just pick anything based on the way it looks. Now coffee now has an own pair. Or send out the co-party, no buy now the cost shop or no I drop it. Now that is the concept. To the point to say what the Bible prescribed for marriage, is being thrown into the gutter. And now we are calling it different terms, patriarchy, whatever, kolo, dogma. We have so many generic terms as young people and putting these names out. Thinking, say, onyankopon trim or for our marriages is no more valid. It is irrelevant to our current discourse. That is what we believe. So now we believe that marriage is in a beta version where you can try, do whatever it is, and discard it as and when you want. If things don't turn out the way you want it. And see, further implications, so should I say, now most marriages and most relationships have gotten to a point whereby there's a fear of commitment. Most people do not want to commit. And we see it in this great resignation. There are a lot of people right now, we say, jam. And within a space of, I did an interview before, within a year, we're changing jobs and about 6 times. My boss back say, why would you? And I'm say, this person, I will not hire this person. Somebody who can change jobs within a year, within 6 to 7 times, I don't want to hire that person. Why? I will not have consistency in the business. He would throw us into the mud and walk away. Only commitment. And now that is the point. Say the implication of this is that most of our relationship, there's no commitment. People have the fear to choose. People now have the fear to enter a lifelong union. Recently, I listened to a podcast now. I'm going to interview a young lady, say, I didn't know person will go into a long-term relationship. Or so I saw the way my mom suffers. Now, the episode friend that said, was the mom abused or something? Or said, no. My dad was sick, and I saw how my mom had to do a lot of work taking care of him. I don't think I can sit down and take that. So in her mind, if he goes into a relationship with you and the tough days come, which it would, it means that she should be able to take a walk. So the implication too is that why choose the unknown when you can have the peace of mind and then the temporary control of the present moment? Meaning, I didn't say, me choosing a relationship or go into a lifetime commitment with somebody when I can just have a fling with somebody and take a walk. Why should I buy the cow when the milk is for free? Why? I didn't whatever else be a war, I can have it done without going into a marriage commitment. And this kind of mindset, is even seen in our Christian way, and that is what we are breaking. The culture outside, is influencing what is happening in our Christian churches. And sometimes the fear is also from what they've seen, like I gave the abaya, it's what they've seen in their relationship in their homes. They've seen the failing marriages of their parents. They've seen how fathers are abusing mothers and mothers are abusing fathers. They see how ne papa ya so panyini oba be gina puppet so kama ba fie nioma o ye ne maame no asefem maame ne ye maame panyi o wo di position wa sorry o ye even so for maame pa ne odi yo so for wo fie no. And in many cases, a lot of young people are seeing marriages survive only because of a sense of obligation. I've been there, and I know, say, in platform, say, a lot of us, our marriages are only surviving just because of a sense of obligation. If we are to take that sense of obligation, we are obliged to stay married in 18. If we were to give an opportunity and have the courage, like some of these young people who will take a walk. But the question is, why? What happened? Because I don't think that when you set up the first time, at the initial stages of the relationship, that was what was there. So what changed? Why is it that we've come to a point whereby, Christian home and family weekend, we say, a lot of us want to work out. Why? So the issue is, what is at the core of the problem? Niema ye Kenya ne kofa by a pie and saying, why is these things happening? Even in Adventist homes. Mame bako writer, your friend Deborah Phillips, na or a counselor, especially in dating and marriage, or can't be. Or say one of the main problems of society is the rush to jump into relationships. And within this relationship, and I'll say there is no balance between passion and romanticisms on one side and logic, truth, and compatibility on the other side. Or see, one of the reasons why and some of these things are happening, and say now most people are jumping into relationship. Now it is about me who na me yam shame. Papa ya with me who they were me yam to shame and then me feel so yam and fem padie. But if you are on this platform now, after now Baba worry, and answer why worry cry, you are newlywed, you are young people, or you are even married for a long time. Now you went into the marriage with the thing, it's just the feeling. I'm sorry, that's a wrong premise, and we need to start changing our mindsets now. Abaya no who say abranti and the who dress about sorry, position be a sorry, and I said a title be a war in society, maybe a local school during the title be anything our warrior. That is a wrong premise. And I've seen a lot of young people make these mistakes. When ya doctor and answer where you or ye 6'5" or ye 6'5", we say obey to me, I can name say Peter the Tiaken and Nima on Wareno. So that is all they are looking for. So a lot of people are rushing into the relationship and they are not drawing the balance between or more passion and the romance part of the relationship. And then they don't strike a balance between that. Any one side, you know, I dear friend say logic. So we'll think it through. No compatibility on the other side. They are not looking at it. In Tenam sa branti any 6'5". Na neboson or kojimana boaba or ye juma unya 6 figures in internet. Everything, certain big truth are thrown into the gutter. And I'm so yeah, so penny back, or yeah, software back, or yeah, this, or for this. Because of that alone, internet, there are certain truth or any pattern you're compatible. There are certain things that are not merging. Or better one answer and what to change. Now, we of course you will understand that e.g. why it can't be. Or see, if those who are contemplating marriage will not have miserable, unhappy reflections after marriage, they must make it a subject of serious, earnest reflection now. This step taken unwisely is one of the most effective means of ruining the usefulness of young men and women. Life becomes a burden, a curse. And so people platform you so okay, and I say wherever you're going to watch later on, cry. Now, if you're contemplating on marriage, and I say you are, or fortunately, you are already in there. Or say one of the things, and they say, you need a very sober reflection, and it goes back to give credence to what this lady said. You need to think through the person you are choosing. You need to strike a balance between the passion you have for that person and then the truth, the compatibility, and other important things that you need to look into. Because one, E.G. White, through the pen of inspiration, said, it is one way of ruining young men and women, and life becomes a burden, a curse. And I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in the life of my friends. I've seen it in the life of many people. And most of them too are on this platform that now, most of us, we are living in obligation, and now our marriage is like a burden. It's like a curse. And if we could sing, burdens are lifted at Calvary, Jesus is very young, but lifting it out of us. The core of the problem. Also, now healthy relationships need to be grounded in maturity. A lot of times, most of these relationships are worrying is not built on maturity. Is not a matter of age. And it is necessary, and as a mandatory, say, and so we'll make sure say we'll test the relationship, a long time before entering that marriage. And yes, sir, pain and regret, as E.G. White said, that is what is going to happen. If you don't mature in your mind in making critical decisions, I don't think, sir, ube chusu ajuma just because say omologo efe. I don't think say ube chusu ajuma just because say, oh, just the money is good. And I've seen people just because of the money, and then they go in and they want out. Ubi some side also when the work culture is terrible. There's no work-life balance. But the funny thing is that when we are choosing our jobs and our careers, we take meticulous steps in making sure say our choices are succinct, they are done with finesse. But when it comes to a very critical part, E.G. White said, is ruining young people, young men and women alike. We don't. We are not matured. We rush into this. Young person will be the parents in him, oh, made and then they just go ahead. Oh, made any baby chama, and now no be so paid for made a munshirasomai. The core of the problem you're discussing. Sometimes, we are not looking at a very holistic approach. Instead of seeing marriage, as a kind of a union between two people, we are not looking at that. Another thing is that your commitment and intimacy of marriage, should create the framework for developing, maturing, becoming more altruistic and forgiving people. And I like the last part in it said, most time the core of the problem, and they say, even your commitment, they can commitments, and I say, your intimacy anyway, say, our ability to forgive people is no more there. So for my be bompire, as open year, be bompire, say, Yankopon fan a bonnet. But dear be as open year, 10 years ago, on fan that. Young person bit the platform you ne year at the be or year 5 years ago, 2 years ago, still on fan chain. But we are the same people who will sit on this platform Sabbath after Sabbath, Friday evening after Friday, and discuss the Sabbath school and discuss the exegesis and the intricacies of the theology of forgiveness. But the basic tenets of life, where forgiveness should be the paramount part of our relationship, is non-existent. And you see it even in our churches. We cannot forgive. Most couples are not even intimate with their partners just because of that. They've not slept with their husband, they have not slept with their wife for almost what? God knows how long. But you better dress it near their bosoms, their bar saw them, our two burdens are lifted that carry. Who are wicked? So, if we know the core of the problem, the question is, what is the purpose of the marriage? Marriage was supposed to be a foretaste of heaven on earth. Ni onyankopon se na onyankopon edo ye no. Say, even whilst we're yet sinners, Christ died for us. God was saying that he says that we are his bride. And God wanted to give us that feeling. And God was going all the way out to forgive us. He says that the purpose of marriage is to learn to love unconditionally another human being. The what's and all. And to say, when you're what being said, ubedo be unconditionally mpacho and worry. And that has become one of the bane of most of our failed marriage. A lot of us are putting conditions and other things. We cannot love people unconditionally. So why you we are mommy and net you we? So also I knew we are mommy and net. The purpose of marriage, and they say two partners discover each other as they truly are and choose to love each other despite their flaws. And so he says for, so you why on what, so you this or you that. So when your wife being say you want to go into a long-term relationship with that person despite their flaws, don't marry. Because it takes genuine dedication and for a lasting commitment to happen. It is not optional. The purpose of marriage, is genuine dedication. Until you can be married for how long? You are started, you are now about to. The cardinal purpose of marriage is to love another human being unconditionally. And it's a what being say because of making 6 figures. And in a while, what about so losing a job? So what being say or your doctor in a while? What about say if the doctor tight in the hole? Will you still marry that person? What is the motive? Because if the purpose in which you are going into that relationship, and then they say, this is a human being, meaning say, or a flaw away, or this flaw, or that flaw, but I'm going to love that person unconditionally. If that is not a motive, you've already failed. Because you see, the purpose of marriage, like I mentioned earlier on, is the perfect example to reflect the type of love and long-lasting relationship God has with his creation. Odomapa, you say him no say it has no end. Unyakupon dra. I'll say as far as the east is to the west, is from the west. That is how far the love of God is. Nasa reflection and the Nyankopon expected said we replicate that in our relationship. And the purpose of marriage, and then they said marriage is based on forgiveness and acceptance on millions of second chances and on trust. And let me repeat it again. Somebody hear me. Say marriage is a commitment which is based on what? Forgiveness, acceptance on millions of second chances. Let's be honest with ourselves. And sometimes I want this to be as practical as possible. And sometimes some of these things are things that I've experienced, and sometimes I talk to myself because we are all failing. But you come back and ask God for forgiveness. But mommy, a rabbi, what's the platform? What's who cry you are there? What's I say? So you will never forgive. But you are the same person who is praying to God to forgive you the very thing you prayed seconds ago. But the same grace that you expect from God, God expects that you give that same grace to your fellow human being, including the man or the woman in your house. So the purpose of marriage is for us to continue to forgive. What? Millions of second chances. It's not just 2 seconds. It's not a second chance. So millions of second chances. and on trust. And above all, no, marriage is about putting the ones you care about first, above sacrifice. It's about sacrifice, I should say. But what do we see? Ask yourself, say, did you put your husband first? Papa, bisa won say, did you put your wife first? What's here? O yiri sika kura wo adwuma wo yesika wonya kura wonim. But who si fie wo Ghana, did you put your wife first? Onim. Mame, what's here? Say wo busu ani ba betena wo fie ni we si a, are you okay? You don't have a problem. All hell breaks loose. And I see this translate and I ask myself, are these Christians? And you say, oh, me for the I can't stand them. But your husband is standing your family members. And they go to most Christian homes. Or Babet Makoko Bushia for Beman and your Mobetina, Ninia, ne brother, ne we say, no problem. My Beman and fan the Bushia Nibacometra, all hell breaks loose. And we come and sit together and say love at home. And we look at people and say, I love you with the love of the Lord. I can see in you the glory of glory. But can you also put him first? Ask yourself, decision as whatever project you're doing, have you put your husband first? Have you put your wife first? Said, we will sacrifice for each other. Imagine the kind of harmonious relationship we are going to have as Adventists and how that is going to translate into our church. Yes, love means letting go of your ego. A lot of men now have so much ego. Nyame ena yo wadom ti etena fie ne de ense siebo me na meti misika ebe ware wo eyi we say baya na ure fi say sa wo ego na wo do say si we no sa ma me na wo tete no on na no aduane ma wo di o eya na ure fi. And then the world we live in today is promoting selfishness on a daily basis. And we are seeing that translate into our Christian home and our marriages. Please, if anyone don't settle for other people's standards. We have a Christian standard to live with. We have a godly standard to it because we have a God who was selflessly. This quarter Sabbath square, we said that we had a God that he had it all. But in order to be able to serve as a mediator between us and God, the strained relationship, he said he left everything else just to take the form of a human, a bond servant. So that when he stands before the Father, he can say, Father, I've been in their shoes. I know this one. I know what it feels like to be a human. Please forgive them. And when humans don't understand their God, God can tell that, listen, I've been part of the Godhead. I know what it is like. And you need to relate with us this way. And then the bane of most of our relationship breaking down is selfishness. He's always thinking about himself. And I have a conversation with a friend. A friend near bread. And I'm saying, what is going on? Or catching on any kunu? Oh no, or catch him say, oh, on any kunu or kasache any kunu or say, oh, or person how where they are going, or musika investment anyway say, how if you knew kunu minguye, would the miwua, Bibia media me the bema. And he went further to say, whatever I'm doing for myself. With the migu and the bema. If you are in a married relationship, now be one no catch that what you say. What is the car investment away and you are doing it for yourself? Now we need partner then why did you marry? Why didn't you stay single? After that one, you are dealing with yourself. But what warrior bet no be or no sorry or no there is not dealing with yourself or bet so or not to you map and what you next one wedi who they all thinking about yourself. And then I'm also to what when you know could bramo brain way say you are not thinking about the family. What they won't know busia are they obey their call anyway saying their parents here, or worry, and remote control, man where the marriage, you know. Yes, say, no, yes, say, because you are projecting your failed marriage. You are projecting it into your banner warrior. I'm also failing. Selfishness. As a competition. Two people are married. But the funny thing is, a lot of us, I'm saying this and I'm sorry if I have to be blunt, a lot of us will die here and that fear now what brother who do kunani who do hireni okokosino ye anwe kwa ufunu kura nambi ye mu bebre yatena ha for so we are saying oh ni yabako Ghana ni yabako kwatena ntina me how many times na woko Ghana fear na we see crowd them. But what was your ha and say we did this kind of poor more support now more life easy our hand. You will not do it because you want to look better in the face of your family members. Anyone now for anyway say now they're too oh me will feel Ghana and a then. A lot of us are here selfishly grabbing things for ourselves. For ourselves, our family, and that is all we're doing. But I can tell you one thing. There's never a U-Haul behind a hearse. And I want to repeat. There's never a U-Haul behind a hearse. Obia ni wa wawu a ye di yuho aso wa ne nioma nyina di na tie ma ne de akoda nti de koso di ukunani koso di uyireni because ne wo na wo soro wo sika wo make more papa what tete uyire no masa Mami, ebia branch ene ba e wo na wo de won krata ma no e betena kuro ha anyway say enti no wo tete no you want to remote control enti ne krata wo be boa ma ne krata ba onye because you want to have control over him or can't fit or can't may you say anyway say selfishness is killing our marriages. We didn't go in with commitment. We didn't go in with the right mindset. We didn't go in that we have two people who want to live together harmoniously and build ourselves up spiritually in the house of God. No, we went in just to go grab. And we will do everything. We will stop at nothing. If you are near the Abetana saw them, near to him, near Yesabel school. Sometimes, honestly, I sit back and ask myself, say, some of the things we do at church, is just a waste of time. Because we are not willing to change. There's a song in 1975. Captain and Tinel, record this song be a friend and said, love will keep us together. Now, quickly within that time, the song, went on the number 1 on the Billboard chart. But we baby said, what has a song in 1975 have to do with the discourse I hear? The reason is this. Love will keep us together. But I can tell you for a fact to say, love is not enough. For most young people, when what I call, and I say, that romantic love, the way they feel about that person, and they bring it together. And then they're thinking and say, oh, as far as I love the person, we can survive everything, no? But that is not the unconditional love I can and they are only talk about that intense romantic love. Near Abrante no who abaya na ne ho nyina ye ne yi ni bi. Ni abaya no so hu Abrante na chase ne kone buaka so no enu bi. Maybe we a young person or be worry and so worry, and you went into a relationship thinking, say, expecting, say, being in love is the foundation for a strong, healthy, until death do us apart marriage. But I'm sorry to tell you, say, being in love is not enough. And the reason will be because whilst that I'm in love, will bring two people in together, you need more than feelings to keep your relationship together for the long term. And I brought him about oh, the way I feel about him, no, I discussed it with a number before. I'm saying, oh, if you feel that about him, why don't you go ahead and marry? Because you are discussing with two blind people. You're all going to crash. So now most of our relationship is about our feelings. But if you are a young person out here, let me tell you and sign this caution, say, being in love and that feeling, like we have Captain and Tina Tonyum, now that is what you see in our songs, the movies I hear, books I hear, TV shows, it's all, and they are in love. That ever after happiness can never be sustained, be in love, because there's more to it. Love isn't enough to keep you together. Because if you want to keep your relationship now, it requires more than being in love. My nice story be a young couple, Kwame and say why. And I've changed the name. And this Kwame Asamoah, it should have been obvious, but I missed it. But my mind was cluttered with the reality. I just knew that I had feelings for Yasewa that I had never felt with any other girl. When we kissed, it was like a trip to heaven. When I saw her after an extended absence, I felt chill bumps. Near Kwame can say, "Oh, Yasewa, feeling be onya no nyasa feeling about any other person." They went ahead, they had a kiss. No, see kiss no here, like this no heaven about. Or see, I liked everything about her. I liked the way she looked, the way she talked, the way she walked, and I was especially captivated by her black eyes. Kwame no. And Kwame Asamoah okay, and then young people be brave. That's all we do. I like the way she talks. I like the way he talks. I like the way he walks. I like the way his eyes. It's captivating. Yes, Kwame Sue did that. But see, I even liked her mother and volunteered to paint her house. Anything to let this girl know how much I loved her. Or see, I could not imagine any other girl being more wonderful than she. I think she had the same thoughts and feelings about me. Kwame Asamoah can know. Or see, with all these thoughts and feelings, we fully intended to make each other happy the rest of our lives. With Sanyama, when you say, oh, see, this is how we feel about ourselves there. And for the rest of our lives, we are going to make ourselves happy. Or see, but yet, within 6 months after marriage, we're both more miserable than we had ever imagined. The euphoric feelings were gone, and instead we felt hurt, anger, disappointment, and resentment. This we never anticipated when we were in love. Kwame asked what story. Or say after 6 months, or banana no who need black eyes, okay, as when you're feeling so or heaven aban. Or like the way no or casano, the way or nantino, the way or see we saying, or say after 6 months, they started feeling hurt, anger, disappointment, resentment. After the ultimate, you know, who ne cry and the buff, ne black eyes, and they see I done it, BB else. Ne casano, obiena no, none the book refu. Or see, we thought the positive perceptions and feelings we had for each other would be for us a lifetime. Now you're doing said, oh, the way you're feeling and the way about each other, anyway, say no, it's enough. And I've seen a lot of young people act like Kwame and say, well, we see people, oh, if you feel the same way about it, okay, let's go. We figure it out as we go along. We let the romanticism and then the euphoric stage of our relationship cloud our judgment. But love or being in love, no, is not enough. I've had friends and when Pastor told me, I've decided to, and previous I've done this. Talk to people I know, people are coming into contact with some of my patients, throw some simple questions to me and try to find their perceptions. And this is the conclusion I've come to see, that unfortunately, most will-be newlyweds and young couples have the same limited perspective as being in love. Your perspective about some of this is so limited. Because when you question Crawford, and as you pose the question, why do you want to get married? They always give you a very big reason. And the big reason is we are in love. And sometimes the funny thing is, oh, then if you go further and ask them, say, what do you mean by that? Or say, oh, you know what? If like the way I'm feeling and I think, well, you know, we feel the way we feel about each other. I think, sir, we can. That is why most people, and when people are in love, now, Pastor, can you ever be a view? As open you can you ever be a view? One here now insists, say, oh, to talk to them and ask for them to see reason to check other things that you'll be their enemy. And in most situations, when they happen to even people of more college anyways here, hey, my funny papa, or man or more college, and after all of us are more grades, as I said, drop them. Start finding out, have they found a guy or have they found a woman? Because when they are in that stage, why do I do with books when there's a question that I need to text? Because I've come to know that being in love is not a sufficient foundation to build a lasting relationship. And you know, I can't learn enough for the way we're looking at, and it's not. And the reason, the number one reason is that often we fail to consider the fact that our social, spiritual, and intellectual interests are miles apart. Our value systems and goals are contradictory, although we are in love. And it goes back to affirm our first point, and then I say, for most people, because of that euphoric feelings, the way and the captivating, the way of casa, and the way and no shape, no tabano, and then to know, and the way of it captivates and cloud our mind. That romanticism cloud our minds to the point that we fail to discuss the social part of our lives. Maybe you were born recently. Me fast back abaya back when you know we say. He feels that they get along, and our church said, "Or putting in faith to abaya," and I said, and I was like, "You need to discuss this." Now no me want no abano catch me, bro. I'm saying relationship. We've decided abaya and say, I'm too much into the faith. Until on me say they can go ahead. And this was somebody they were so much into each other. But when he could look beyond that and start discussing issues about faith, you're ready. There are a lot of young people or power ready to the sense that issues like that, they will not discuss it with a guy and also with a lady because it's so much into him or her. Their intellectual interest, they will not discuss. They are miles apart, but because of the way we feel about him, that is it. Values. The way you eat, the way you prepare your meals, the way you worship, and all your values are different. Now the funny thing is, I buy her make her one or say or catch her because it's an antianuntina me ba ho be sra wo no woni me ana. Meaning say in her past relationship no or sram ranty na something happens. And I'm catching say one was some me catch her. If he didn't go further to make sure that his values are in line with her, or mobile worry, initial euphoric phase now, they are so much in love, will cloud, they will not discuss. Then later on, that becomes a problem. Because his values and her values are miles apart. So now the tragedy didn't say after a year or two, you have two people who are in love sitting in the counselors who are so penny, and they are like, I'm sorry, the love is gone. And I don't think that I love this person anymore. And nothing I'm catching that the love is not enough. At some point, that in love phase, you need to look beyond and discuss your spiritual part. And there's certain principles where you need to look beyond because you are married for a lifetime. And I know some people what platforms will tell most young people say that initial stage in say be accept you person done anyway say na cloud of mine. I tell you at the 2 years in we say you got to a crowd batra. Excuse me. At that time, you will have to look for something else to keep the relationship going, and you ask yourself, where is it? Beyond the sex and other things, what is there in the relationship again? Love and being in love is not enough. E.g. White Carson or since the step you are about to take is one of the most important in your life and should not be taken hastily. While you may love, do not love blindly. And you know, na aso. Me pese ne me disi ha. Ochine nyame adoma. You better discuss it further. Love is not enough, You better go part now. One part of me person me discussing is what I call when the tingle strikes. Because a lot of young people, that is what we've been through. The initial stages, we'll discuss how to transition from this page, because love is not enough, to a point whereby we can have, how do we transition from there into a long-lasting relationship? We've known the core of the problem. We've known the purpose of a marriage. We've known that love is not enough. But when the tingle strikes, how do we navigate that? How do we move beyond the tangles? How do we resolve issues, conflicts? And how do we build lasting relationship in our Christian homes? Onyankopon kan ho onnom ye na ne baabi a yeduru no ye de besia na se obi wa question and say yeah yetimi answer na ochena nyame ya adoma ya to aso edanson any pastor medema no besia say
do nyame enshira bebre yedase pa nyame namoso ubia enya ne de ewo mu na eye ni je pa yebema just one quick so obi wo one quick ya de aka bia no nyame adomo a ochena no ibinya mere na doc etimi answer but for the sake of senior doctor kind into no yebema obi ba akopɛ ekwan na obi bi ba akopɛ etimi de aba just one chance. All right. It may be say, yemfa yen questions ni nyina ento for ochina. Bibia utie bia no bibi echere wadwen wo pese wo bisa bibia ochina nyumre no doc be available na wa answer those questions ni na dia mai. Doc esan ejina Toronto Ghana asafo animo edi nyame eda wase papa ewo wo mre ene wadaje a wase minim se nyame be koso we shira. Why shira ama Toronto Ghana? Bia enyane de e free one hour ware in feel brain ni one wo be hyase nyina no mi gidi se obi enyane de ewo mo o kyena nyame adom a ye besan atoaso ti nyame enhyira ye sabre ye besre ye mu baako mpese me bodin ye mu baako ye ntu dwumadie de wuti wo mu bia no tu hye nyame nsa na efa doko so hye nyame nsa ebe nyame ase sas kwan so nkono so efa maye na o kyena dwumadie nso eye between 3:30 to 5 ma yenhye so kyena wia no na yemra na dodo mo ye invite afoforo na omo nso so emra na omo mechie bi disabre ye bisi trust na yasre ye mu baako na watu enedwumadie yi ene doc na wo kyena de abeto aso nyina ahyinya mensa amaye.
Ameba momaye mo empire. Ida wase yintipejafo ye gwane ko bia no ya bank kese ene anwumre nso bio ye da wase pa wo adom ene ahumobra wama umma yensa ka ye jitum sewradi nyame e ope ena wama koa abekyerekyere aware mu ede ama yen sene awarefo ya setena yenkunimdie ene ya brabo esitie anwumre ye dwane atwa o Toronto asafo noma bebre hon ma yedi hu fo wo ya aware mu ya setena mu ene ye Kristo soma kwanto yi mu dwane atwa o Yesu Kristo di mu se ebra wonam akoa so kyerɛkyerɛ yen ye srow pass awradi nyame tina wabasa kese no wo maso ma wo ma ye nyame wani monyam ene kwan a wo fa so de aware si honom sene ebeboa ama abusua timi awie peye na yenkoso na ni gie aba ewo ye Kristo so makwanto yi mu enti na ebremu se im ayam fum so de bia de atia wo a anhye wo de ani monyam awradi nyankopon de ayese wo nyina ne se adom hene wo di mu nti pega won sana show ho ani monyam na fe bone cheyen yesre yenuanom ene ye wo faase ne ye manom asabre mu wo mu aya ware nhyehyeye ewo wasafo mu a wo mu be ware nyina na awradi nyame yesro se ma wasemi ensachra safwe na enya wo mu eso enkunimdie bi na enya wo mu so awrade adom bi wo mu sene beboa ama wo mu asetena ene wo mu aware mu ene wo mu relationship wo mu no enkunimdie atimi awie peye na ahye onyame wodi ani monyam ye ma me mo mu aware yes wa ya warrior a Awurade Nyame impo anigye eni ya warrior mu na Awurade Nyame atete arahudie eni nkuguo ene ekoso no yegya ye nyina ya warrior de ahye wa Awurade wutumi na se so odumankoma anigye a wode ma wo ma ewa warrior mu oda wode ma wo ma ewa warrior mu no mebi entena ye ma menom ya warrior mu bebi entena ye nso ya warrior mu mebi entena wasafo awarrior mu
Amen.
Awurade Nyankopɔn betimi aboa yɛn ama ya yɛnkunim difo anwumre ya ka nyina ne sɛ umma udini ye de nam bra yetie wo nsɛm nyinaa wɔ udin mu yi Kristo Yesu de mu mani nyansu nsanso ɛwɔ ya warrior mu ye relationship mu ɛne ya setena mu na aboa yɛn ama yɛn ne wo hu kutadumudi biara wɔ Kristo so mu no awie pɛyɛ na show di animonyam yɛde wase bra ma yɛkɔdi dan yɛnim yɛn ho so hwɛ yɛgya yɛn nipadua yɛn honhom ne yɛkra nyinaa hyɛ wɔ Awurade Nyame wotumi nase sɛ nnwumre yi bɔ yɛn ho ban ma yɛfie ɛnyɛ sɛ Bethel ma yɛn na wɔwuo na wɔsɛefo aka sɛ watumi yɛn na sɛ adepa bi yɛn na wo ma yɛtumi sɔre wɔ ahoɔden akokoduro so ɛne nkwagye mu a yɛde wo na aseɛ wɔyɛ yie ɛne wɔne onyam bɛma wo ti wo ma yɛde wo asese wɔayɛ aso no watie yɛ ɛwɔ Kristo Yesu din mu nti yɛde wɔsɔfoɔ ɛhyɛ wo nsɛm sɛ de sua a wasiesie de ama yɛn wɔkyena ano anwummerɛ Awurade Nyame ma ne nyansa ma na hoɔden ma na kokoduro na biribi biara hinta ɛwɔ wo ma warrior mu no wontimi nya wo pɛ na wɔnka nkyerɛ yɛn nya sɛnkyɛ adwensakyerɛ wɔ ho yɛsrɛ sɛ bra wakɔ akɔdɛn ma na adwene mu teɛ ma ne nsɔ da yɛ kɛsoɛ yɛsrɛ de n'abusua ɛne ne yere ɛne ne ma nyinaa hyɛ wɔ Awurade wotumi na se sɛ wadom nti bɔ abusua nyinaa ho ban na pagya wo nsa anwummerɛ yi yɛka nyinaa ne sɛ Nyame twɛdi ampɔn yɛde wo din nam ɛberɛ a yɛbɔ wo din hyɛ ho animonyam ma adom bra wɔ Kristo Yesu din mu nti amen.
Amen.
Amen. So Nyame nhyira wo bebree. Abusuafo ɛha ɛna yɛde yɛn dwumadie no ebisi. Mpanyinfo megye di sɛ bi a announcement bi wɔ hɔ a mobɛtumi de aba mmerɛ a yɛ close no. Sɛ biribi so ɛni hɔ deɛ a ɛneɛ yɛma yɛn nyinaa yɛ ho nispa. Dɔk, Nyame nhyira wo bio.
Nyame nso nhyira mo nyinaa.
Amen. Nti nispa yɛdi titi mu a Nyame nhwɛ yɛn ne wɔn nkyɛn. Amen.